Hello. Today we're going to talk about nature, cholesterol, and vitamin D connection versus supplements and statins. How does the body use cholesterol? It uses it to create hormones, brain function and structure, cellular repair and protection, nerve function and structure. It protects the heart and prevents disease. Your body makes cholesterol to protect you. If you have any damaged cells in your body and you do not have any antioxidants to repair them, your cell sends a message to your liver, which then sends cholesterol to rebuild the damaged cells. Cholesterol studies. Cholesterol and all-cause mortality was measured in 12.8 million people over 13 years. Having low cholesterol carried the highest risk. 23% risk of less than 5.12 mmol and 7% risk of more than 6.15 mmol. Small LDL particles oxidize easily, which causes them to float freely in the bloodstream rather than make their way to the liver. The small LDL particles are what can cause heart damage. This process results in inflammation, which could lead to coronary heart disease. Here we have a slide that shows you can have your blood test telling you you've got 130 milligrams, but it doesn't really tell you or not unless you know what the particle size is. The larger the particle size, as we can see, carries the lowest risk. So what are the causes of damaging small particle cholesterol? Excessive refined carbs, trans fats, refined sugars, PUFAs, which are polyunsaturated fatty acids, oxidative stress, lack of sunshine, drugs, alcohol, smoking, being hypothyroid, being obese or having diabetes, having renal failure, or with age. When cells are healed, the cholesterol is no longer required and your body reduces production. Saturated fats. The Sydney Diet Heart Study was conducted between 1966 and 1973. It put 458 men who had had a heart attack on a diet that replaced their saturated fat with soy oil. While the men's LDL cholesterol dropped, their risk of death increased by more than 60%, and their risk of heart disease increased by 70%. The Minnesota coronary study followed 9,000 people and reported similar findings. LDL cholesterol levels fell, while risk of death and cardiac events increased. Triglycerides are a blend of fatty acids and glycerol that your body uses for energy and metabolism. A level of or higher than 221 mg increases your risk of mortality by 34%. How to improve cholesterol types. Reduce refined carbs and starches. Daily exposure to sunlight. Reduce PUFA consumption. Eat healthy saturated fats. Walk briskly 30 to 60 minutes per day, minimum 3 times per week. Ensure adequate dietary levels from food of B12, heme iron, sulfur and zinc. Statins block beneficial cholesterol. Statin use creates a twofold risk of significant decline in the posterior cingulate cortex, the first area of the brain likely to decline in Alzheimer's disease. When patients stopped statins for 6 weeks, their cognitive functions improved. When they resumed taking the drugs, their cognition digressed to its original state. A recent systemic review of 11 studies with nearly 47 million participants found associations between statin use and decreased insulin sensitivity and increased insulin resistance, both key factors for developing type 2 diabetes. Vitamin D is a self-regulating hormone that we receive from sunlight. Our bodies naturally adjust the internal levels of vitamin D to help us stay in perfect balance, and all we need is 20 minutes per day of sunlight to get natural D3 sulfate. Vitamin D3 blood tests. Which one is the best? 25-OHD or calcidiol blood test is the one that your doctor will normally use. This is the one that measures your reserve tank, and these levels are normally low. 1,25-OH2D blood tests, which doctors normally do not request, measures the active the actual active vitamin D3 level, and this is normally always normal. Quite often the reserve tank is low and the active level is high or normal. Benefits of D3 sulfate from sunlight, from nature. D3 sulfate has many unique protective benefits, and it's created from sunshine and cholesterol on our skin. Protection from cancer, protection from cardiovascular disease, reduces damaging small particle cholesterol, protects our brain, removes plaque, boosts our detox system, also converts to D3 to protect bones. Deficiencies in cholesterol and sulfates contribute to many of our health problems. And here we have our last slide. Synthetic vitamin D supplements effects. They displace the real 1.25D from the vitamin D receptor. They cannot create D3 sulfate, the only beneficial vitamin D. They prevent cholesterol homeostasis and cholesterol synthesis. They reduce melatonin secretion, affecting sleep cycles. They prevent the internal regulation of phytate levels, causing mineral loss, and stops the removal of heavy metals. So that is the end of the slide. So we don't need to worry about cholesterol, and we do need to worry about statins. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.